Alright, so this morning I'm just going to do a really quick little pattern because my husband's gone to the gym, so he'll be back soon. So this is just 2 pattern pieces, which I love, and it's by Moments by Liz, so it's the card cash keyring. I've blacked out this actually says the measurements, but I blacked it out for the video because I was going to show it. So what I've done is I've just cut 2 pieces of this really fun textured vinyl that Spotlight had like forever ago. I think they've got something similar now, but either way. So I'm going to just take my pattern piece and lay it over one of the pieces so that I can cut out this little slot. Actually, I think it's got to go over both now that I think about it. So I'm going to line those up at the top, so the top point, and then I'm going to just grab this and lay it down over the top of all of it. And then I'm going to grab my craft knife here, and I'm just going to cut where the slit is. Like that. Now this little tab piece here, I cut it twice as wide so I can fold it in half. If you need to, put some double-sided tape there, but I feel like I'm probably going to be all right. So I'm just going to fold it in half, and I'm going to stitch both sides just so it looks nice. Just one side might look a bit weird. So I'm going to back stitch, stitch down. I'm going to go across the bottom because it's quicker than stitching, back stitching and cutting it off. And then I'm going to go back up the other side and back stitch. So now that it's doubled over, it'll be stronger. So I can trim off my tails. Now I've just got a really small little key ring here. So I'm going to feed that through. And then I'm going to feed it through the hole. Now my hole just needs to be a smidgen bit bigger. So I'm just going to push that through the hole so it sticks out like that. And then line that up. You know what? I didn't need the second hole, but it doesn't matter that I've done it because we're going to hide it anyway. So I've just pushed that through there. And then what we do is we bend it over and top stitch it down. So we're going to hide that inner hole anyway. So what I might do is I'm going to open this. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on it so it holds still. I'm just going to do it in a little bit. So I want to hold it, but by putting it in this far, I'm going to be top stitching at the edge. So we're not going to stitch over the actual double-sided tape. So for those that have issues of their needle gumming up, just move it in so you won't stitch it down. So I'm going to separate the backing off these like that. And then I'm going to start at the pointy end and I'm going to line it up like this and work my way down. And I'm not gonna push like this because that might stretch my vinyl. So we don't want to do this. We just want to pat. Double-sided tape will still stick. See, I'm just holding it by like one bit. So now we're all good. So what we want to do is, the idea is we're going to get to this point like this. So first of all, I'm going to top stitch this edge, which is the flat edge. So I'm going to push my threads to the back. I'm going to stitch. I'm going to back stitch. Now I'm doing an 1/8 of an inch seam, but if you're new to top stitching, you can do more. So you can do a full 1/4 inch if that's going to make it easier for you. So now I'm going to grab my pattern. This is why I blacked it out, because I need to know where I'm meant to bend it. So I'm just going to hold it up, put my finger there, and bend it at my fingernail like so. And then I want to add some clips to hold it in place. I love this because it's quick. This would be a great, if you had to make like a lot of gifts for people, or if you were having a party and wanted to make party favors, this would be very cute. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to start at the bottom on one side and stitch up and around. And I haven't forgotten about this. That's just sitting there at the moment. All right, so I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to stitch. I'm going to back stitch because we should always back stitch and lock in our stitches. And then I'm just going to move slowly up. And then when I get to this here, I'm going to lift up the foot and pivot. Now, I cut these when I was half asleep by the look of it because they're not 100% even, but we're going to fix that so it's fine. One more stitch. I'm going to manually put that in so that it's nicely in the corner. Then we're going to pivot and go down. Now, when we get to the bit where we're going to go higher, you want to kind of, I use my fingernails, but if you don't have fingernails, you really need to get in there. So you can grab your stiletto and kind of hold it in place so it's not going to move when we stitch over it. So stilettos are really, really good for that, but that's why I get fake nails. Not to look pretty, because, I mean, they do look pretty, but that's not why I get them. They're a functional use in my sewing room. So, then we backstitch at the end, and we're going to trim off the excess. Now, at the top here, you can see I didn't cut it very even. So I'm going to grab my scissors now, and just trim off that excess. If you have a cutting machine, cutting these in your cutting machine would actually be a really good idea because you'll get really, really nice straight cuts. I might actually do a tutorial on that since I do technically have a cutting machine. I just mainly use it for stickers to give away to people. All right, so now that that is in there, what we're going to do is we're going to bend this over like this so it's going to stick out the top. Now, if you want it to not stick out as much, you can just push it in some more. But we're going to fold it at that cut line, and then we're going to stitch over that top edge. Now, I know these are very, very like simple, quick ideas, but if you use the right vinyls, they're going to look amazing. Or cork. Cork would be cool too. I do have some rainbow cork here. Okay. Chop that off. Get rid of all my rubbishy bits. Okay, so now we're like halfway there. Well, we've done the sewing part, but now I'm going to insert some press studs. So I've got these are what they use on like bike riding vests, like motorcycle vests. But they are still just a press stud, so you could use any press stud. If you've got cam snaps, you could use those. But I am going to still line this up like this and then grab my hole punch, and I'm going to hole punch through both the pattern and the vinyl to make sure that I'm putting it where it's meant to be. So like that. And then for the edge, so for the other side, I didn't want to do it before they were stitched together, but I can actually just line it up like this and take my stiletto, and you want to make sure that the back isn't up against it because you don't want to stab through the back, but I can just line that up there and then stab the stiletto through the pattern and the vinyl like that. So that's now through, and so I've now got my hole, which you can't really see because of the type of vinyl I've used, but I just thought this would be really fun. It's like a cool little men's one. Okay. So I've punched the two holes in two different ways. So you can use either method for both things. So now I'm going to grab my cam press. Now, because of these, to get these on, I need two different bases and then two different tops. So they look very, very similar, but one's wider than the other. So the best way for me to do this is the skinnier one goes over the outer piece. And the best way to test it is to just push it into the cam press. If it doesn't go in, you've got the wrong one. So that goes in there with that one and that one. So this is the top piece. So we're going to do the top one first. So I'm going to push it through the hole. And this is probably a giant overkill for the size that this is, but it's also going to look really cool. You can get these in different sizes. I just do the one size. And so then we're just going to line it up and squish it down. And then you'll pull it out of the cam press. And it's done. And it's beautiful. So I actually got this press because this is what I use on my whippersnappers, which is my leg bag. So I'm going to put this one in. Now this one's going to be a little bit trickier to do on camera because normally I would just hang this over the edge of my table so that I can get it in there. I'm going to push the press stud through because I think that's going to help my cause. So I can see my hole. And it's not big enough because I use a stiletto and not my actual hole punch. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to stick the end of my snips in and make the tiniest of cuts because I only pierced a really small hole. If I was using the plastic cam presses, the hole would be enough. But because this is wider, it wouldn't quite work. So I'm just going to pop this up. There we go. And so now, see how now it goes through? So this particular base, if you've never seen one of these, this is springy. So I can actually, so it's designed to push down, but it's also designed so that it will hold this in place. So the easiest way to do this is usually to just thread it over it, but it's so small that that's not going to work. So I'm going to half turn it inside out, so that I can get it on there, like that. And then I just smooth it out on this part. So it's not going to damage anything else, but I've also pulled this up out of the way. So if I was to make a lot of these, I think I would probably top stitch that top edge and then maybe install this just for quicker. Because I'm all about the quick. But that side's now in and this side's now in. And if you followed all the instructions, it snaps together. This is sewn in, so it's not coming out. And then you've now got a little holder. Now this could hold anything. You could put USBs, you could put money, cards, business cards. You could do your logo on the front and then hang it on your keys to carry business cards with you. But that's just a fun, quick little project. Alright guys, I'm going to wait till hubby gets home and then you get a second video today. Alright, bye-bye.